Join us today as we explore how the Y&L Harmony Planner can transform your daily lives by integrating seasonal living principles and feminine wisdom and ensuring you navigate each day with intention and grace. Welcome back to the Freedom Seeker Show, where today we're diving into a truly transformative tool for women who juggle the demands of professional and personal life. I'm thrilled to welcome my co-founder, Lisa Blough, CEO of Harmonizing Organizing and Design, and the brainchild behind the Y&L Harmony Planner alongside with me. Lisa's journey from a single mom overwhelmed by life's chaos to a professional organizer has shaped her into a powerhouse, guiding others towards balance and clarity. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you. Powerhouse. I like that. It pumped me
Right?
up on a morning.
Oh my gosh, we are such powerhouses. And one of the things that you know very well about me is I am all about sharing our gifts because that's who we are. That's why we're here. This is why we were gifted those gifts to share them with the world. And yours truly is that calm and sense of humor. I always say this about you, but this calm and sense of humor that you bring when chaos prevails. And that is when there is transition or transformation happening. So whether that is on a small scale in organizing my space or in a large transformation where there's moving involved or life transitioning. And in today's episode, we're talking about our little project that we have started 4 years ago around organizing our everyday life in a way that makes sense to us. I have, and I know this is a part of your story too, tried so many different planners out, and I've always found myself having like a personal dream planner, a scheduler, and a journal. And then as I was incorporating new things such as the moons and astrology, numerology, all of a sudden it was just piling up. And it was impractical because there was like, where do I write what? And because it's at the end of the day, like you always said, it's all one thing. It's all, you can't separate the pieces. It's our life, right? So it was one of those things that we came together on where it was like, how could we bring all of these different pieces that we love about different planners into one? And that's essentially the very foundation of how the Y&L Harmony Planner started. What I'm curious about for our listeners today who may not know you, Lisa, is how did it start for you? What got you intrigued into organizing, particularly let's focus on the planning world?
Well, it was for sanity purposes, really. I mean, I was in a corporate job. I had a couple other side things I was doing, and I was running two little humans around and trying to manage their schedules as well. So it really was for sanity. And I could not put everything in my corporate calendar because that was a Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 kind of thing. For me, as women, we are not 9 to 5. I had things in different places, right? So I had my corporate calendar, and then I had the kids' soccer and dad schedules and all of that kind of stuff all over the place. What happens then is that things get missed or you don't see it all together. So you end up not showing up, not knowing if you've got a conflict beforehand until you're headed out the door. And I, like you had talked about, tried so many different planners. I even went to the bullet journaling aspect of it, which was pretty because I could make it whatever I needed it to be. And it all lived in one place. But it was very labor intensive to do that.
Yes.
And the creative aspect of it became a chore, which is not what you want to have happen. So delving into the whole planning thing for me was definitely to try to keep our life together and to monopolize on whatever quality time we had together, finding those pockets of time and being able to cash in on them as they were.
It's true. When we have to sit down and not just schedule things in, but also have to draw out the map, because that's what bullet journaling essentially is you have to every week you basically draw out a new map, and it may look the same as the week before, but you still have to do the drawing.
Yeah.
I would probably not do it because as soon as there's an extra effort, something gets dropped. I love that you pointed that out because I think that that could also be one of the reasons why some people don't continue or stick with their plans, right? It's because there's an element in there somewhere that is complicating things for them, and it's just easier to skip over it than to stick with it. So,
Yeah. It's the path of least resistance, right? We all tend to
yeah,
go that route. So that was what drove the planner, as it were.
yeah,
You and I sitting down that day trying to figure it out. So
yeah. I still remember it so vividly. It was a beautiful day. It was exciting for me because I could see the opportunity, and literally the planner started with us having a 3-ring binder. And that was very intentional because we wanted to flip in all the pieces of the different planners that we were using that we liked and that we enjoyed. And then a year later, we actually designed our very own. And now it's available in print format as well as in digital format for others to buy. We have built, I'm really proud of us. We have built a beautiful community around this planner over the last 4 years. And we did get some questions for this conversation, Lisa, that I kind of narrowed down to highlight some of the most pressing questions that people have around the planner. And I was hoping you and I could maybe tackle those together. How do you feel about that?
great, bring it
So
on.
the first one that we got here is around one of the features, which came quite naturally once we dove in deeper into what we were doing here and why we were so disconnected from the traditional planners that were out there. And that is the seasonal and cyclical living principle that is very much true for the feminine. Women don't operate in a 24-hour cycle. We operate in a 28-day cycle. And so there is a disconnect from this linear system that we are very used to. Here's the thumb again. So let's talk a little bit about this unique feature, how we've incorporated that into the planner. What does it mean and how does it work?
This was one of the aspects of the planner that did not come naturally to me. As you know, I'm the masculine energy behind the Y&L Harmony Planner. And so this one was a bit of a learning curve for me, but very welcome learning curve. And for me, being able to sort them into seasons based on our cycles allowed some surrendering, right? Instead of the masculine part, the having to push through, like, no matter what, yeah, I feel like crap, but just continue to push, push, push. I mean, there is still some aspect of that we need to do in order to get where we want to go with our goals, but being able to surrender into, oh, this is my rest and reflect week. This is why I'm feeling this way, and some understanding and some compassion for myself in that, and to be able to just to surrender and plan around it so that I can ease more into it, I guess, is what the seasons did for me. So, yeah, the phases were definitely a harder transition for me around that aspect. But I love the way that we have been able to incorporate it into that, and not just for women that are still bleeding, but even being able to move that into women that are no longer bleeding, and how that plays into it. So I love how that's been brought into the planner.
How is specifically for you, because you were saying that it didn't come quite as natural to you. So what I hear when you say that is you were very much in your masculine energy around planning and organizing and what it needed to look like. And it really showed up in goal setting. And we'll talk about that in a minute. However, when it came to the planning in our seasonal or cyclical context, is there one thing you could say where you really notice the difference, how it's really changed over the last 4 years for you?
Oh, a good question. I guess the way that one of the major changes that I've made based on that is when I do certain things. So, I mean, sometimes you can't plan around it, but the outward cycle, that's when I'll try to plan a networking event or to be out with friends and stuff, because that's the best time for me to do that. And just being able to put the different types of tasks that I have to do in different weeks of my month, knowing that there'll be time for that in a certain week instead of just planning it and getting through it, right? The
Pushing
push
through.
through it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I think that is true for me as well. That was one of the biggest that I've noticed doing it this way. Because for those of you who don't know what seasonal planning is, and in that 28-day cycle, we go through 4 phases. And the 4 phases are rest and reflect, which is our menstrual cycle. And for those who are no longer bleeding, it would be the new moon. Then there is the plan and initiate, which is the week following your cycle. Then there is ovulation, which is the connect and be visible or summer season. And then there is complete and focus. And so with each of these phases, you can see that there are different energies that come with each of them where things flow more naturally. Like Lisa was talking about in the be visible phase, it's much easier for anyone to connect with other people in that phase, or to do if you're self-employed, to do some marketing campaign, something that is really needing to be presented in a way that it catches on or whatnot. That's a great time to do that sort of thing. Whereas the exact opposite of that would be a time to rest. And how good is it to know that there in that 28-day cycle there is a week in there where you can just lay back and Netflix or whatever it is that you want to do to just rest and restore. And it's not necessarily a week to do nothing. It's a week to rest and reflect. So it includes doing some research or doing some learning and some reading, going inward. So it connects with the season of winter.
I think it also gives me permission, right? Like when I'm in that rest and reflect phase, knowing that that complete and focus phase is coming for me, that complete and focus, I get so much done in that week. So knowing that that's coming around the bend and I'm going to just kill it that week, it's a permission to just let go and do whatever my body is leading me to
Mhm.
do.
And like you said, life happens, and certainly not everyone is on the same rhythm as you might be or I might be. But knowing that allows us to also plan properly around it. One of my examples I often use is if you have to attend a big conference or a big outing during your rest and reflect season, when really all you want to do is be in your own house and sleep in your own bed and cuddle up with a movie, perhaps, or a good book. Knowing that allows you to plan ahead, maybe take some extra time in advance, take some extra time right behind it. And most importantly, don't get so hard on yourself about not feeling it or not being fully ready to shake hands and kiss babies, as I always say. Let's talk about goal setting. I know that this was definitely something that you and I spend and still spend a considerable amount of time around. How does the Harmony Planner, in your opinion, how does it support all types? The ones who love setting goals, the ones who don't love setting goals.
Oh, yeah. Goal setting. I mean, I think the planner, we have the 5 different areas of life. And for me, in my corporate background, goals were always set on the corporate level because they were mandated to set. They had to be set. So I often didn't set very many personal goals in the different areas of my life, like spirituality and creativity and all of those. They got missed. And like you've said so many times before, where you focus is where
That
you
expands.
grow. And what completely been missed doesn't. So that really showed up for me. And I think having the 5 areas of life and having them all be a focus in the planner has certainly allowed goal setting to expand. It doesn't have to be such a rigid thing. It can definitely have more ease to it and more of an intention setting than a goal setting. So we can kind of drop the shoulders around goal setting and approach it from a different aspect. I also think that in our community, we've done a really good job. And every year we get better at it. Last year, we started with our yearly retreat where we sit with the participants and create the intentions. And it's not just a set it and forget it. We actually sit with them throughout the whole year and we do the seasonal check-ins and where are we at. I know for me in past, if I had set a goal and then, life happens and there's no way the goal could be completed, I then just, well, I'm done now. Forget that.
Mhm.
That's a big
Mhm.
X. And then all the self-talk starts and nothing happens with it. Whereas approaching it this way, we can check in often with it and go, okay, well, what's happening? Is there a way that we can still do this? Is this still a goal I have to pursue? Because things can change from week to
Yes.
week sometimes. So I think approaching goals, intentions from that aspect has really helped, and focusing on all parts of a woman's life.
Yeah.
It's really important.
I love that you brought in the 5 areas of life, and that is why we call this the Y&L Harmony Planner, because life isn't just about the career or about life balance. We both have a little bit of a reaction when we hear the word work-life balance. And that is because it's more of a harmony between the components that are important to us. And one of the things we do in the retreat, one of the first things we do is we identify what we value, what our values are, and then we identify where those values land in each of those areas of our lives. So some of us, it was a discovery and a surprise, perhaps, that what they valued and how they scored in that particular area of life were not in alignment. And that gave us an opportunity to look at our goals a little bit differently, because we might have been just writing down the same goal over and over again without any more contemplation around, is this even meaningful to me? Does it even matter to me? Or am I just putting it down because somebody else told me I needed to?
Wondered
So
why it was never completed, right? Why am I never checking this
why
off?
am I not?
What is
Why?
wrong with me? Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's where women go. Like, we immediately look for fault within ourselves. And then we need to unpack that whole emotional story that we've been putting around it for some time. I love that you brought that in, because that is definitely a feature that allowed us to take goal setting to another level. And something that came up as well was this beautiful synergy that we have, that we both brought to this. There is, like, the feminine without the masculine is like the river without its banks. We need both energies, and we all have both energies. And what happens to some of us is that we may have lived and tapped into one energy more than into the other. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that we need a harmony between the two in order to feel more fulfilled or more relaxed or more calmed or whatever it is that you're looking for in life. And so when Lisa and I came together, we very quickly realized how we were these two energies, and we came together. And that is what we brought into the planner every single time. We don't become each other. We are who we are. And then we bring both gifts to the table. And that's what I think makes this planner so unique and beautiful. And we also take a lot of feedback from the people who are using it. We are the ones using it, and the community that is using it every year, we give an opportunity to reflect on what's working, what's not, and then we revisit that. So that brings us to self-care, because we've talked a little bit about self-care already with surrendering and giving permission and those sorts of things. But how else do you feel does the Harmony Planner and its community focus on self-care, and how do we encourage that mindfulness within the planner?
I'm going to broaden that within the planner and the community.
Mhm.
Self-care for me is like the huddles on Friday. I look forward to that time. It's a time to come together, whoever shows up, and it's the check-in. It's the check-in question. It helps on a couple different levels for me. If I've had a week where I'm just go, 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 and often I will not take the time to check in and see what's actually going on. So the Friday huddle gives me an opportunity to just sit down and take a breath. I need to check in for that,
Mhm.
to speak to the check-in question of the day, as it
Yeah.
were. So that is definitely a good point for my self-care. And then in the planner, the first thing that should be in your calendar is you, and whatever that looks like for you, right? Whether it's a massage or walking your dog or whatever that looks like. We cannot, as women, fill from an empty cup. However, society has made us believe that we have to be empty. We are the last, our cups are the last to be full. So it is the first thing that gets put in there for me. And I do try to bring it forth as often as I can. Put it in. It doesn't have to be something that's paid for. It could be anything. It could be a hike. It could be just sitting on your back deck, having a coffee in the morning, being able to take that time to recharge you, whatever way that looks like. I think it's very important. And getting together in community, I think that is probably one of the most powerful things. Anything else, I need to show up. I need to show up with energy and all of that kind of stuff. But the huddle, you can show up however way you are, it's fine. And then, oftentimes we will find mirrors in the community and go, oh, okay, that's what's going on. Or this moon is bringing this stuff, about and all of this kind of stuff. So it's doing it together.
What Lisa's talking about is our Friday huddle. It's a 1 hour weekly prep meeting where we come together because we found it valuable to take that time, set our week up for success for the next week. And that 1 hour can save up to, 10 hours or so of doing. So there's a very effective reason why we're doing it as well. What we usually do first is a check-in, and it's just going around, and whoever wants to share can express what's been going on for them and just connect with everyone. And then we go into planning, and the planning is each to their own. We just do it in community together. And Lisa and I are both there. If someone has a question or is stuck somewhere, they can use that time to ask the question. Thank you so much, Lisa, for bringing all of your wisdom into not just today's interview, but also into this community and into this planner. I have said this before, and I'll never grow tired of saying it. I couldn't imagine having done this with anybody else. It's just been such a beautiful marriage of a skill and gift. Those who have experienced the planner are still with us. Like, we have people with us from day one that are still with us, and it's growing every year. And that is just a testament to the value of this planner. People who've said they've never been able to stick to a planner even for 1 year have been sticking with the Harmony Planner now for 4 years or 3 years. So I think we have done an amazing job here, and we invite anyone who wants to check out the community or the planner to come to Friday Huddle. It's a free community. It happens every Friday at 1 o'clock Pacific, 2 o'clock Mountain. You can find the link below. And if you want to know more about some of the other stuff that Lisa does, the magic she can work with, maybe speak to that for just a quick second before we wrap up, Lisa. You do more than the planning organizing. You also have a legacy planning system. You want to speak to both just quickly?
Sure. Thank you. I work with women who are overwhelmed and try to gain control back of their space, because I believe that what's going on in your physical environment is indicative of what's going on internally. So I come in and help quiet the voices and support them through it, and just let them know, like, I got you. I'm here. We'll deal with this together, and don't panic. Don't freak out. We're going to figure this out. I do all spaces, like garages, kitchens, anything like that. I also do moves and stuff. So I help people transition.
I was just going to say, like, one of the things you've been doing lots lately, it seems, is transitions like that, right?
Yeah. The last couple big ones we've done are people moving to assisted facility places for one reason or another. So, we're talking about going through a lifetime of stuff in a home, right? 20, 30, 40 years in one space, and living a life and raising a family, and all of that entails going through that kind of stuff in order to downsize to an amount that's going to fit in the new space. It's not easy. I mean, there's a lot of memories, there's a lot of attachments, good, bad, all of that kind of thing. So being able to sit with them and sort through that is my honor, actually, to do it. So we'll go through that, get them ready for listing, and then we will help pack. We actually have the ability to coordinate with the movers and take care of all of that for them. And then we do oftentimes unpack on the other end for them, so that when they walk in to their new space, it's all done for them. There's no boxes or any of that headache involved in that. They can just set up.
It's a very customized process that you,
Yeah.
that you do for them. That's awesome. And lots of great feedback for you on that too, because the people you have been helping with that are just seem to be so grateful. They didn't think it was going to be that involved. And they were so happy that you were there helping them through the process of disconnecting from a lifetime of belongings that don't fit into the smaller space now. So I just love what you do. And I, I think it is so important. I'm going to link that because we've done an interview before on moving as well as the legacy planner. I'll link that interview here for anyone who's interested in hearing a little bit more about that. Watch the interview that I've done with Lisa in the past on that. Thank you, Lisa. I absolutely love that we have the ability to do this together, and I'm grateful every day for you. And to our listeners who are really inspired by this and who want to explore this a little bit more, I've come to a Friday Huddle. That's probably the easiest and best way to just ask questions or to experience what it's like. And until next time, keep seeking freedom and living your truth. Thank you. Bye for now.
Thank you.